Welcome to Piney Grove, folks. My name is Brad, and I'm out here on our 20 acres in Northwest Florida. And today is just going to be one of those hodgepodgey type of days. I unload my trailer. I've got my tiller on it. Hey, Lily. How about this? How about this? Unload my trailer. It's got the tiller on it. It's also got 2 rolls of wire, sheep and goat fence, 4-foot wire for doing one side of our property. I picked that up at Tractor Supply, so I brought that out here today. And I had the box blade on the tractor, so I went ahead and box bladed the pad for our well house, or our pump house, I guess, where our well is. So I just did that. Number 1, never come to your farm without a shovel. I rarely bring a shovel. I don't follow my own advice. All right, I got this bladed the best I could. I need some dirt on this side of the pump house, but I had a little bit of dirt over here where they dug it out and used for the forms, so I spread that out. Had a little bit of dirt on the top side of the hill that I spread out, and then I had a little bit for the side. It was just bothering me to have those piles of dirt there. If you got things like that go too long and you don't take care of them, then grass is going to start growing in those clumps, and then it's going to be harder to move. And all this was nicely seeded grass before they tore it up to put in this concrete pad. And that's just part of doing construction. But I wanted to get it remedied here as quick as possible. So one thing you probably saw me on the video, if it made it through the cutting, if it made it through the editing process, well, I was using my foot instead of a shovel. If you are moving to the country, you've already got a place established. Maybe you're moving one country place to another, or you're moving from in an urban environment to the country. You don't want to buy 2 shovels. You don't want to buy 2 of everything, right? You already have a shovel at home, but that means every time you come out to the property, you got to remember to throw that stuff in your truck and kind of plan what you're going to do. And this morning I was thinking, I'm not going to need a shovel. I'm going to be bush hogging all day. And lo and behold, I need a shovel. So a shovel would have made this easier than kicking the dirt with my foot, and also a rake to smooth it out. But I did a decent job with the back blade of the tractor. You'll notice that I used the box blade just a little bit to push dirt. I really like the control I can have with the front end loader bucket. It's in front of me. I don't have to turn around, and my neck's already sore today, but I don't have to turn around and look behind me. The bucket is only as wide as the tractor. The box blade is 6 foot wide, so I didn't want to chip the concrete. So I used more of the bucket than I did the box blade. A lot of people do a lot of work with box blades, and they're a good tool for certain jobs, but I find I can do a heck of a lot of work with that front end loader bucket, and I'm more comfortable with it. And like I said, it's in front of me where I'm facing forward. All right, so I'm going to sweep this pad off, and then this little job is going to be done. I got to take the box blade off the tractor and put on the Brush Hog. I call it a Bush Hog. I know that's a brand name, but put on the Bush Hog because I just got word this week that the guy who cuts our hay has decided that it's too much trouble for him to cut our small acreage. And I totally get where he's coming from. He's used to doing 20, 30, 40, 100 acres, long straight lines. And in here, he's got 5 or 6 acres. He's got to go around trees. And last year he did it, and then he bought the hay from us because we're growing this pasture for future animals, but for right now, why not have the hay going to good use? But I didn't mow it all summer because he said he was going to turn it into hay this year. Earlier this week, he said, no, he goes, I'm into peanut picking right now. He said, I don't want to fool with it. It's too small an acreage and there's trees in the way. And again, that's all cool, but I wish he had told me throughout the summer so I would have kept it mowed, because right now I have really tall bahia grass and I'll probably have to cut it on 3 different lengths, because if I cut it all at once, it's going to be too much thatch and kill the bahia grass that we have. So I'm glad to keep the carbon on the property. I'm glad to keep those nutrients on the property and not have it cut off as hay and leave the property. So that'll continue to build the soil out here at Piney Grove. But it wasn't a task I was looking forward to doing in November. So that's what I'm going to do today. Take off that box blade, put on the bush hog, and sharpen it. And then I'm going to take the tiller off and put that in the shed, because a tiller is an expensive piece of equipment and that doesn't need to be outside. All right, stay tuned while we get all this work done. All right, so I'm trying to knock this grass down. Like I said, the guy who baled our hay last year just doesn't want to fool with it. It's too small an area. But it got really tall and it's thick out there. So I'm trying to run the bush hog up a little bit, but I also don't want it bouncing around. If you raise the bush hog too high, it'll bounce. And when it's bouncing around, then you'll get an uneven cut, and that doesn't look good either. So got to go a little bit slow. There's areas where the grass is thicker than other areas, and I got to go real slow there to chop it up good. It's doing a good job chopping it up, but it's leaving a lot more thatch than I wanted it to. So let's take a look at this thatch here to see what I mean. So here you can see the unmowed field. Now that was mowed really, really high this summer just to knock the top off the weeds. Matter of fact, the whole field was, but I left it tall enough so that the bahia grass could get cut. But you can see the thatch here. I mean, there's clumps of it. I think it'll be okay. I think the bahia will grow through that in the spring, but I don't want to cut it any lower or else it'll leave too much thatch and it may smother out the grass. So I'm just going to keep easing through here 5 feet at a time till I get over to the pines. I don't know how many rows that is, but it's a bunch of rows, so I'll be here a while. As I work my way more east in this pasture, as I go downhill, the grass gets thicker. It's older grass and it's better grass because it was planted first after we cleared the pines, and also because the nutrients come down the hill, right? You fertilize up the hill, and if those plants can't capture that nutrients, they're just gonna flow with the water down the hill, in addition to erosion over the years or the centuries or whatever. So these low areas have that going for them, plus they stay wetter during dry times in the summer, so that grass is really thick. And I'm cutting a good foot off the top, and I'm probably leaving a foot that I'm not cutting, and it's just frustrating because I fertilized this spring anticipating it would be hay, and as I drive through it, there's some great hay out here, and if I'd known that it wasn't going to get hayed or cut for hay, then I would have kept it mowed throughout the summer, and I'd have a nice thick carpet of bahia grass, which would be like a lawn. So it's just frustrating to work through this, knowing I'm gonna have to cut it again because I'm cutting it real tall, and knowing that, you know, nutrients and fertilizer were wasted on this in anticipation it would be hay. But I'm gonna get through it, keep going till I get done. Okay, so the camera says it takes 2 minutes and 53 seconds to go down and back. That's about probably 7/10 of the way, because I still got a little bit more back here to do before I turn around. So 3 minutes, so that's 1.5 minutes each way. let's call it minute 45 seconds each way for each pass. Minute 45 that way, minute 45 back. So it's really kind of enjoyable mowing. It's kind of, you don't have to think about it, right? There's not a lot of thought involved, just go straight. And especially if you don't have to adjust the mower, go straight, turn around, turn around, turn around. It's kind of mindless, lets you think about other things. When you're doing more complex tractor work, you're thinking about your turns, you're thinking about moving the loader, adjusting, changing speeds, whatever. But this is just steady back and forth. Got the hum of the tractor, I got my hearing protection in. So it's actually kind of enjoyable. So despite all my complaining, I'm having fun. Well, we're down to the last strip. It's hard to tell, but there's one strip left. Now, I've raised up the bush hog in this areas where the grass was really, really lush and thick. So there's tons of thatch, but I think it's gonna be okay. I think maybe this winter I can get in here on an off day after this thatch that's already here has had a chance to dry down and incorporate a little bit with the grass. I can mow it again and get it closer to the ground. But yeah, everything you see in that grass, all the nutrients, the nitrogen and everything, by cutting it and not taking it away from the farm, it stays here in the soil. So, you know, the thought process is that thatch will work its way down to the ground and then build up the soil. It's gonna have trouble in places where it's thick, because as the new grass grows up, it's gonna keep that the clippings elevated. But it's the best I can do. Like I said, if I can come in here later this winter, it's mid-November now. If I can come in here maybe in December, January timeframe and cut it again before it starts growing in the spring, which will be February, March timeframe in Florida, then it should incorporate well and then be more of a lawn type of grass rather than a haying type of grass. The 3901's doing fine. I mean, it's a cool day out here. It's like 60, 65 degrees, so there's no danger of overheating. You can see up there on the front air intake on the left side of the grill, it's got some thatch build up there, but nothing to worry about. I haven't had to stop and clear it. The bush hog's covered in thatch, but I'm glad I sharpened the blades because it's got a lot of grass to cut. So sharpening the blades was a good idea before I started. But hopefully you can see there's one more about 4 foot wide down here and maybe 6 foot wide at the end. So I have to do a little backing up, but I cut it pretty even to leave a strip that I can get in one pass. So I'm happy with that. I think I'm gonna spread some rye seed on that brown top millet over there that I planted in October or September. I don't know, but anyhow, it was late in the summer and it's all brown. I mean, there's a ton of little songbirds in there eating that. But all those millions of seeds, I'm gonna scatter with the bush hog. But while I'm creating thatch in that area, I might as well throw down, I got some extra rye seed from planting my hunting lease. I might as well throw that down in there because you can aerial seed with rye seed. And this is rye grain, Renza Bruzi rye grain. You can aerial seed with that. So you can throw it right on top of the ground. Farmers do it all the time. So I'll actually be throwing a little bit of thatch on top of it. So the next rain, it'll have moisture. And it'll give, again, it'll help build the soil. It'll give something for the deer to eat along there this winter. Because I did plant bahia grass there. And if that comes up good in the spring, then we're going to have pasture all the way to the woods line. Hopefully that bahia does well. If it doesn't, then I'll plant bahia again in the spring. Because I'm just going to stop having a food plot or just stop having any kind of annual that I have to plant along that pine edge. Okay, this is going to be real simple. Just gonna take my solo spreader, and if you don't have one of these, this is one of the greatest things for seeding food plots, seeding your farm, whatever. I'm just gonna put some Renza Bruzi rye, and I'm just gonna spread it on top of this brown top millet. I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of camera battery left. It's already 3:30. It's after daylight savings time, so it's getting dark earlier. So I really wanted to be on the road by now, but this will probably take me about an hour to spread this seed out. And again, it doesn't take much for rye to germinate. If you spill rye in the bed of your pickup, you get one rain or get a little, spray the hose in the back of your pickup, you'll have a pickup bed full of rye. I don't want it really thick. I don't want it to smother out the bahia if the bahia comes up in the spring. So hopefully That's a 50-pound bag. That's probably about half of that bag in that spreader. So hopefully I can get all the way down to the back, all the way down to the end and back without it running out. Saw this planted with my tiller on the video called Tribute to our Brittany Spaniel Gunner. It's called Fall Tilling. Well, that worked out pretty perfect. I was able to go down and back. I actually went down on our border road by the fence and did some there, and I also did it up around the pole barn just because there's bare dirt there and just to see if it'll grow. Be interesting to see if it'll grow, number one, and number two, if deer will go up there and eat it. So it's pretty cool. I had the seed in the spreader, so it was easier just to spread it out rather than put it back in the bag. All right, folks, that's going to do it for today. Pretty busy day. We brought the extra fencing wire to the farm here. We brought the tiller after it'd been out on my hunting lease. We did about 5 or 6 acres of planting out there. Those videos should already be up. So we put the tiller away. We took the box blade off the tractor. We put the bush hog on the tractor, or brush hog as people like to say, and we brush hogged about 5 acres behind me. Then we threw out some rye seed, Renza Bruzy rye, into the brown top millet, and we bush hogged that so that that thatch will be on top of that seed and a little bit of moisture from some rain, and that should come up and provide something for the deer to eat. And also, land likes to be growing something, so I'd rather it grow things that I plant than things that nature wants, like weeds and briars and stuff like that. That land has been limed, it's been fertilized, so let's have it grow some rye. Rye will benefit the soil. Rye is a weed suppressor. Rye will feed the deer, and in the spring, when it makes a seed head, it'll feed the birds as well. So, one thing I want folks to keep in mind is I'm a sportsman, I'm a hunter, but I've owned this property for 3 years, and I've invested a bunch of money in food plots, and I've never taken one animal off this land. I haven't taken a deer, I haven't taken a rabbit, I haven't taken a quail, I haven't taken a dove, and all those things exist out here. And I will someday take one, but what I'm trying to get across is that sportsmen sometimes are the best stewards of the land. And I know some of hunters get bad reputations, but there's a lot of us that do this, and we give way more to the land than we take. But anyway, enough of my soapbox. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a big like. That helps us out, helps our channel out immensely. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share with your friends if this is the type of content that you do with them or that you know that they like to do. But otherwise, that's all I've got. I've got a dead battery in my camera. I've got to get this tractor blown off with some compressed air, and I've got to turn off my well that's been running all day as I'm trying to flush that out. Again, that's all I got for you. That's a wrap. Take care, and we'll catch you on the next one.